Yes, thank you. Thank you, Anna, for this kind introduction. And thank you all for being here and for having me, for this opportunity to show you some insights of our project, of the Coins project. Yeah, and also some results of the Coins project. You see, Hannah mentioned that there's a long list of participants of the project, so I'm not the only one who's working on it. I have the honor to speak on behalf of the whole consortium, which consists of a lot of institutions. Just some facts and figures. We are one of the 4 regional research projects within the call Sustainable Land Management in Sub-Saharan Africa, accompanied by the Interfaces project. And yeah, that's why we are here, and that's why we are having the opportunity to show you some insights of the project. We have 7 partners from Germany, mostly from academia to research institutions, SALV and DILR, and 7 partners from Africa, also mostly from a research perspective, but also from the private sector like Acre and Manobi. Just quick facts about the background. I mean, we all know about the challenges Sub-Saharan Africa is facing. We have multiple risks with climatic, social, economic, ecological risk, with partly uncertain future developments. And one of the key driver of those risks is the is the population development. There are projections, they show that we have an increase from 400 million to 1.2 billion in 2100 in West Africa. Since I worked now a couple of years in West Africa or with topics in West Africa, so this number is always a bit moving. So let's see where we end. But it's clear the population is rising, and this is the driver for increasing of cropland, because also the food production has to increase, and also the increase of livestock. And the consequences are loss of carbon, loss of biodiversity, degradation of land, and the intensification of agriculture area is needed because we have to increase the food production. But this leads to land degradation and desertification. Yeah, there's a conflict because we don't want to increase the agriculture area, and there's one solution, and this could be the sustainable intensification, short for SI. I really like this definition of sustainable intensification because it's short and it's comprehensive. So sustainable intensification is a process or system where agricultural yields are increased without adverse environmental impact and without the conversion of additional non-agricultural land. So less input and no conversion of non-agricultural land. But this on a larger scale is often limited because of heterogeneous socio-environmental conditions, but also because of high labor costs and also limited access to financing. But it should be, and this is also one objective of the Coins project, to create or to be a part of creating incentives and structures and related governance mechanism that enable sustainable land use interventions, and of course to improving livelihoods and food security. I will take you now to our study regions. As I said, we are in West Africa, here in the northern part of Senegal, in the Senegal River Valley, and in the second region in the northern part of Ghana, around the city of the town Tamale. And we have really complete different cropping systems. In the Senegal River Valley, we have more a system of irrigated rice. And we have a very strong gradient, socioeconomic gradient from the coastal region to the eastern part of the Senegal River Valley. And we will also see this later on in our results, for example, in the socioeconomic survey. Our focus on the SI lies on the SI practice SRI, systems of rice intensification, and I will also show you later what kind of practices this is part of the SRI. In the northern part of Ghana, we have more a mix between cereal and legumes farming system. There we have a focus on climate risk management because of the shifting of the rainy season, and there we have a focus on ISFM, on integrated soil fertility management. As I said, in Ghana, we have here in the northern part of Ghana, around the town of the city Tamale, we have 3 towns where we are active: Toulon, Savelugu, and Mion. And we have here some impressions from our field trips. And there we have a focus on the staple crops maize, rice, groundnut, and cowpea, and on the cash crops soybean, shea nut, groundnut, and cowpea. As I just said, the conditions are a bit are described by climate risk. So we have a high risky rainfed production system. So it's relied only on the rainfed on the rainy season. So traditional rainfed systems, and this under shifty climatic conditions. So that means that those agricultural systems are threatened by droughts, but the agriculture is the mainstay of the people. So we have a risk, a climatic risk, and on the other side, we have also poorly organized market arrangements for producers. So this is the setting where we have to deal in around Tamale. And yes, as I said, the focus is on the SI practices, ISFM. Coming to Senegal, we have a strong gradient, I told you, from the western part to the eastern part, so from the coastal region to the eastern part in terms of degradation, but also of access to labor and also access to markets. And it's characterized by rice production, so a lot of paddy rice we can see. And in the last year, we saw an increasing support for rice production from the governmental side, but also a decrease of yields. So something is going wrong there, and also some projects, or our project has a look how we can support the farmers' decisions or the farmers' management. In the region, up to 3 cropping seasons are possible, but what we observed is more 1 to 2 cropping season per year. What is also very interesting is that the Senegal River Valley is the second basin of migration in Senegal. So there's also a link to climate change, but also to labor. So when we were there, we met a lot young men from Mali. They are migrate from Mali to Senegal to work on the fields. And this is also very interesting. I show you later, because this impact was also impacted by the COVID crisis, because they couldn't come to work on the fields, and a lot of fields were fallow in the year 2020. So this is the setting of the project, and I show you now the approach and the structure. The whole project is divided in 3 tiers. And all 3 tiers has a certain research question, and all 3 tiers are then framed by cross-cutting work packages. So the tier 1 deals with the question which measures work where and for who, under which socioeconomic conditions. So that means we are a lot of monitoring, but we also a lot of collecting data, socioeconomic data, but also physical data. We are measuring greenhouse gas emissions. So very different, very transdisciplinary and different approaches and methods. In tier 2, the enabling work package, we have to question how to incentivize sustainable land use, and also how to improve risk management. And there we also have more information on which levels are we. So the tier 1 is on farm and policy level, tier 2 on farm and market level. Tier 3 is dealing with the question what knowledge supports successful implementation of SI measures. So there are we also on all 3 levels, farm, market, and policy levels. And this is very strong connected to the cross-cutting work packages too, where we have networking, communication, education. And one of the main work packages are the innovation labs. So we have an innovation lab per country, 1 innovation lab per country, 1 in Senegal, 1 in Ghana, and those are a bit the core of the project, because there we want to find out which SI practices is suitable for which region. Those working packages are framed by a data management and coordination working package. That's not that exciting, but all project needs some. Okay, let's jump into the innovation labs, because this is also a term, maybe it's not that prominent. And also, what is an innovation lab? So in our case, an innovation lab is a platform who wants to find the most suitable SI practices for each region. And the platform has different actors. I just listed it here for the example of Senegal. So there are a lot. I won't read everything now, but just to give you an idea of who is involved in those innovation labs. So we have the farmers organizations, we have technical services, we have NGOs who are involved in it, we have administration and local authorities who are involved in it, and also from private sector like financial and insurance sector. We have platforms for dialogue and advocacy, and also a strong research focus and trainings and organizations. And one of the most important thing is also then to demonstrate those things what are developed in the innovation labs to farmers in, for example, in farmer field schools. And we are lucky that we can. Why is it so important to have those farmer field schools? And it's also was one result from our social economic survey from Senegal from last year. When we see here inside of the circle, so there are two regions, Dagana and Podor, and for both regions, the source of information, the farmers group meetings are the most important source of information. And that's why the farmer field schools are so important to implement SI practices, because this is the most important information for the farmers. What could be an SRI practice? Here we show the transplanting of rice nurseries. So you can do broadcast seeding, or you can do transplanting, and this is one SRI practices, which is very promising because you need much less seedlings and also less inputs in the end. And the result you can see here. On the right side, we see a conventional rice cultivation. On the left side, we see SRI. And in the end, you need less seedlings, you need less input, and have an increase of the yield in average about 30%. So this is something very promising and very successful implementation of the SRI. And farmers are coming to those farmer field schools and see also the output, and hopefully will also implement this on their fields. Other impressions of the farmer field schools, we have comparison of different SRI types, where we see here trainings with farmers. The technician is evaluating the condition of the crop growth, of the plant growth. And on the right lower side, we see also some reeds in the fields, which is caused by late irrigation. So this is then also some examples for the farmers how to better manage fields. So let's jump into tier 1. As I said, we are a lot of collecting data, a lot monitoring things. And just to give you an impression, so we have here like the measurement of greenhouse gas emissions over the fields, if there's an effect during when we're implementing SI practices or not. We are monitoring biodiversity. So we have like traps inside of the fields in SI fields and then non-SI and conventional fields, and to see if SI practices has also an effect on the biodiversity. One large package is the crop model. So we are using crop models to see if there's an effect of implementing SI practices, so that we can have a better scaling, a regional scaling for the SI practices, that we can then suggest, okay, use this SI practice or use this SI practice, because in those regions with this conditions, climate conditions, soil conditions, it's more promising to use this than that. For those models, we need a lot of input and also a lot of socioeconomic input. What I showed you here, exactly. So we did a large socioeconomic survey in Senegal and this year in Ghana. So we have a total farmers of 550 were asked about different things, about general information, but also motivation for innovation, risk and threats, finance, support and advisory services, sustainable land management, also SRI, and then training and adoption of SRI, and you are welcome to have a look on those on those results. We have like a dashboard. I just copy the link here, and you can have a look on those data because it's very interesting. With those in mind, we collected a lot of socioeconomic data, but we also went to the field and increased those data sets with in farmers group discussions with farmers, but also with traders, and we also had interviews with the public authorities, insurances, but also banks, and also together with the farmers, we created a crop calendar, but it was also very interesting, and not only the management timing, but also the costs for each management step, because this is then very important for developing a business model. And what also was very interesting was participatory mapping from the colleagues from the Uni Bochum. So we went to the fields, and this nice guy, he has a smartphone with an app with an app where you can just surround your field, and then you get the area of the field. And it was very surprising because this is an information what is very important for the farmers, because they are buying their seeds, their inputs, their fertilizers regarding to the information of their field size. And if the field size if your field size is only half of the size of what you think, then you give a lot of you buying too many seeds, too many inputs, and you can save really money and also preserve the soils. And this is then also something very interesting for us as from the DLR, since we are trying to delineate field boundaries using satellite images. So we have satellite images, we have a training data set, and we are training a convolutional neural network, and these are the results, and looks very promising since you see very detailed all the fields. And when we have a data set like this, our partners from Anobi could integrate those data sets in their software to have a better management for the farmers. In this, we also did some land use classification over the time from 2016 and 2023. And what I just, so it's very nice when you can see how the development of the fields, where you can see, okay, each year, so some fields are added to the farm here. I mean, it's a large commercial in closer in the smallholder farms, then you see also very interesting developments. For example, what I just mentioned, that the agriculture area or the cropping system there is also relying on harvesting workers or workers who are or from labor who are migrants from Mali, for example, and there we had a huge drop in 2020 due to the absence of the labor. So we really can see this in the agriculture area in the data, in the satellite data. So coming to the tier 2, the enabling, there we have another focus more on the incentives, or what could be the incentives to implement SI practices, and also to improve the risk management, and also to link farmers not only to insurance, but also to link farmers organizations, for example, to international climate financing, that maybe they get financial support to practice of the because of the increase of the of carbon, for example, in soils. Also, the co-development of a catalog of risk management strategies, and to formulate recommendations. As I just said, we went to Senegal. Also, Tier 2 was strongly involved in all those focus discussions, and also with financial institutions. But this was also a very strong focus in the visit in Ghana in 2023. And so we had a lot of focus group discussions in 3 farmers' villages, and also a gender differentiated interviews we had there, and we had to visit the production areas. And for us, as from the perspective of remote sensing, it was also very interesting and important to have crop type. So we sampled crop types, but we also measured biophysical plant parameters in the field. So the main message we've taken from Ghana was it's very different commercialization and land management practice across the communities. So there are huge differences. The main message was also that it's good to have a separation, so to include gender aspects, but also the important role of extension services. And we also see a lot of gully erosion, which is so the erosion of the soil because of a wrong treatment. And we also, and this is also part of ISFM, and we can see here on the lower left side the image that it's really worth to implement ISFM practices, because on the left side it looks much proper than on the right side. Yeah, so one word also to the Senegal trip, where we had a lot of focus group discussions. I think I mentioned mainly all those points, but maybe the main message is also the gradient between the western part and the eastern part, and also the different cropping traditions, I would say, and also the cropping systems are very different. So there we should be a huge effort for those farmer field schools, and it's also a huge potential to use those farmer field schools to spread information for the local farmers. So tier 3, the advising group, there's a lot of communication, also of community workshops. I mentioned this participatory mapping, also the hackathons who are coming next years, and there's more the focus on incorporate SI compliance monitoring workflows, metrics, and advisories, and also the feedbacks from farmers and to farmers organization. And there we have the objective, it's very strong connected to the cross-cutting work packages about the education, networking, and communication. Where we want to build new alliance to strengthen regional research in case of co-generation of knowledge, to increase capacity of all participants in the innovation labs to identify and to implement SI options. To bring together financial services, providers for crop and livestock, insurance, restoration finance, farmers, input and output market actors. So to bring together all those players and actors who are involved in the implementation, and to strengthen existing innovation platforms and to ensure capacity on the development in academia with the aim to link science to people. Yeah, so I'm coming to the end of my talk. So the next steps, we just had 2 weeks ago an annual meeting in Bonn, I think very close to the room where Hannah is sitting now. And this is very good just to get an overview what is happening, what is challenging, and what is the status of the project currently. The socioeconomic survey in Ghana is finished, so we're just analyzing it, and then we have hopefully soon the results. We have a planned travel to Ghana in October 2025, but I think the involved people are also communicating to interfaces when exactly this will be. We want to strengthen the innovation labs, and we also want to increase the farmer field schools. This is a bit depending on funding. This is not clear how we can deal with it, because in the proposal phase it was not clear that it's that important that we have demonstrations. We want to strengthen the farmer co-learning forums. Then the monitoring is still ongoing, so the GHG emission is measured, biodiversity, agricultural management, productivity, all those things. What we are monitoring right now are ongoing. The calibrated model, we will see how we can see an impact of ISFM and SRI in the model, and if we can see it, then we have to generate or have to model spatially. That means that we have to go on the regional scale, but therefore we need also some more inputs for the model. Then the business model is developing and then running, and also evaluating some financial instruments for the farmers and farmers organizations. And also preparation of e-learning material. This is all ongoing, and okay. So thank you for listening, and that's the group at the kickoff in January 23. Thank you.